Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God. You are the place. Moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place. Where God. You are the place.
Unmute, please, sir.
So we're going to try this again. I'm saying good morning to Unity of Payson and every one of you who are joining us online as well, because we now have the sound working for online. I like that song. I'm not very familiar with that song. I'm the place where God shows up. Another way of saying I am an expression of the divine in this world. And that fits in so well with our theme for this month of July, which is the theme of service. And we'll get into that, but right now, let's take a moment to just be quiet, to be still, to know that I am, and I am the place where God shows up in this world. God of all goodness, we are always grateful that part of our calling as human beings, as divine beings in this world, both, part of our calling is that of service. We are called to serve in so many ways, so many situations, so many people there, and we learn through that connection with the divine to know just that perfect spot for us to serve and just the motivation that we need to carry that forward. So this morning, as we join together, let us listen to Spirit, to know how that very divine nature that's within us may be spread, may be given out into the world. For each one who is here with us today, we are grateful. We're here by appointment, and we're grateful to be together as a symbol of the oneness that we are. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. It's time for our opening song, Love is My Decision by Daniel Nahmod.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now.
So we lost the recording for a minute. For those of you online, we kept on singing here, and I don't know if you heard us, but we did. And so we'll move on now. Don, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Okay, well, I'm here, and it's time for our welcome and connection time. Welcome to Unity of Payson. We're glad you're with us this morning. If you're with us virtually today, please let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. We want to recognize anyone who's new. There's someone online named Sammy. I'm not sure who that is, but if you'd like to unmute and say hello and tell us where you're from, that would be wonderful. And if not, you can go to unityofpayson.org and send us a message in the connection tab and send us your email if you'd like to be informed of our weekly activities via our Monday e-newsletter, or you can leave your email in the chat. Is there anyone new in person?
No, they're not new, but it's somebody we haven't seen and hung out with for a while. I'm delighted that Karen Rush is here today. I think there's a special reason for it too, but she is here, and Donna's going bonkers back there. So We're delighted. And Sammy, welcome to you as well. So we hope to get to know you at some point. Back to you, Donna.
Back to you, front to you. It's time for us to say our welcome prayer to those who have yet to find us and to those who are here together. We love you. We bless you. We welcome you. So it is. And now it's time for our gratitudes. If we could have a gallery view. We're grateful for those who support Unity of Payson with your time, your talent, your treasure. We're grateful for all the events that we keep having each week and the technology that allows us to meet in this hybrid fashion. If you'd like to share a gratitude, please raise your hand online or raise your hand in person. So let me see. I'm going to do a gallery view here. Uh-oh, we have echo. Hello, Joanne. Joanne's joined us. And Kay from Alabama is here. Welcome, welcome.
So I have gratitude. My beautiful wife and I got to spend about 2 whole days together, not thinking about any of the things that we normally think about. As we celebrated our anniversary last Wednesday, we drove to Lake Powell and saw lots along the way, and a beautiful lake whose level is up, such blue water. It was truly incredible. It was a wonderfully refreshing time, and I am so grateful.
Me too. Anyone else? Well, I am grateful for my air conditioning in my home and my bedroom, especially. The bedroom is third level, and I guess at one point it might have been a loft. I don't know, but it was created into a larger area, and there's a window air conditioner in that bedroom. Yesterday, for the first time, I put it on and was so grateful I could sleep. Yay. Okay, if there are no other gratitudes right now, let us move on. Unity is grounded in meditation and affirmative prayer. We have trained prayer chaplains to support you. You may email your request to the address on the screen, neil.unityofpayson@gmail.com. Our prayer team and Silent Unity will join you in prayer for 60 days total. At the end of 30 days, Unity of Payson sends your prayer request to Silent Unity, and they will pray with you for 30 days more, 24/7. All prayer requests are held sacred and confidential. There's also a box on the greeter table if you'd like to place a prayer request in that box. And if you would like one of us to contact you, please leave your contact information with your request. Unity of Payson's theme for July is service. Thank you. All right. Here's the slide with our affirmation if you'd like to say this with me together. Being aware of our equality and our oneness, I develop a spirit servant consciousness. Well, I've heard of servant leadership before. In fact, I have a few books on that. So my guess is it's similar to spirit servant consciousness. Today's speaker is Rev Neal Worthington, and the title of his talk is First consciousness, then service. Okay, it's time for our metaphysical moment, and I'm reading the Daily Word today, July 2nd, 2023. And the word is guidance. And the affirmation is, I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. I'm going to say that again. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and a quiet mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. I receive divine guidance much in the same way flowers in the field soak up sunshine. Just as following the sun is innate for them, I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing, even if my guidance surprises me. I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone. From Isaiah 58:11, the Lord will guide you continually. So it is. Amen. And now it is time for Reverend Neal. Oh, no, it's not. We have a mission and a vision statement. Well, it was crossed out on my copy, sorry. All right, it's time for our mission statement. Together, we are a welcoming and open-hearted community, inspiring each other to live in love, joy, and service. And we have a vision statement. Together, we enrich our world through spirit-centered service, positive human connections, and stewardship of all creation. And now it is time for Reverend Neal to share his message with us.
I guess I was so anxious to get up here I couldn't wait. First consciousness, then service. As you know, and we just reviewed, the theme for the month of July is service. I'm going to begin with a story, a Bible story. I liked this story when I was a kid. Forgot about it for a long time, but I think it has a wonderful truth underneath the story. Story is about a woman named Martha who had a home, and the other key characters are Jesus, the master teacher, and Mary, Martha's sister. Jesus was traveling with his band of disciples, as the story goes, and stopped at Martha's house. Now, Martha was abuzz with activity. Gotta get everything prepared just exactly right. But she opened her home generously to Jesus and his traveling group. But she got a little distracted by her preparations. She was busy getting ready for everything, even while the event was already happening. She was a little bit miffed, I might say. Well, maybe more than that. But she didn't like it that Mary, her sister, wasn't helping her with all of those preparations for this honored guest, because Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus, the master teacher, and listening. Simply sitting and listening. So Mary continued to do that, and Martha came to Jesus and said, "But Jesus, what about my sister? Why isn't she helping me to get ready to make all the preparations for this visit?" And I don't know if you remember the essence of the answer, but it was this: Mary has chosen the better thing. Mary has chosen what was needed. And of course, Martha was busy. Mary wasn't busy in the same way, but she found what was needed, and that was to sit at the feet of the master teacher. I like that story because it says to me, in essence, what I want to share with you today, that service is so very important, but well-considered service, really knowing what service we should offer, is of key importance. We'll talk a little bit about how to be truly helpful. Sometimes we help a lot when people don't really want our help, or when that's not really ours to do. We'll talk about service that begins on the inside and works its way outward into the world. And a little bit about exploring within, so that we can begin to discern, or as the Daily Word said, to find guidance for what it is that we are to do. But let's talk about service. And I want to talk about genuine service. There are lots of kinds of service. There's military service. Maybe you were, back in my time, you were drafted for military service. Or maybe it's service to the community. And you just do that because you want to be a part of your community and you provide some sort of service to your community. Or it might even be something like serving someone that you just felt nobody else is doing it. That person is in need. Therefore, I'm going to serve that person. It's not exactly where I'm going with service today, so hang with me as I talk about service. I define service as the action of helping or doing the work for someone else's benefit, or it could even be for your own benefit. Service, the action of helping, working for someone's benefit. That's a pretty general description. But one of the things it's not relief. We have lots of relief agencies that serve people that have been subjected to a huge calamity in the world of one sort or another, man-made or otherwise. But it's not just relief. Relief is wonderful, but it's kind of on a lower level of service what I'm wanting to talk about today. So true service is that connection with the very core of our being, so that what we give is truly ours to give and is truly needed. It's not primarily a rational thing. It's not something we figure out, well, I want to be looked at well in the community, therefore here's my plan to serve. So I'm going to do this and get involved with this and support that. That's my service. But the service I'm talking about isn't primarily rational. It happens from the inside out. When I was thinking about people who exemplified this, I could think of no one more salient in terms of the example that she set than Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a Catholic nun in an order where she was pretty comfortable in Europe, but something inside of her just urged her, guided her, prompted her, pushed her to the kind of service that was uniquely hers. She was a unique person, and this service was uniquely hers. And so she began to serve the poor and the ill and the disadvantaged in the world, and particularly in the country of India, one of my well-loved countries. But there was so much that needed relief, but she was there for service. Founded an organization called simply Missionaries of Charity, not missionaries of the gospel, not missionaries of signing somebody else and getting somebody saved, but missionaries of charity, providing service, which was her unique calling, and others resonated with that and joined with her. And of course, it became a very large organization serving many, many people. She served from the heart and the core of her very being. It was all-consuming. This was who she was. This was her identity. This was her uniqueness. And she served in that way, knowing that this was her calling. She said this: love, which of course she focused on, in action, love in action is service. That love begins from within. It's my firm belief that love isn't something we can go out here and find and pluck and even figure out how to manufacture in our lives so that we can be a good person. But love is part of our very nature, the very nature that is both human and divine. And that love, which is the energy that comprises everything in this universe, everything that we are and everything that we relate to. This love, when put into action, equals service. It's not obligation or duty, but willingness. Not something that wins you a prize like, you got something you can put on your uniform that said, I've done so many hours of service, therefore I'm a good scout or good whatever you are. But it's the idea that serving as you are called is the prize in and of itself. It's not something that's there to make you feel good, but it's there to demonstrate the goodness of creation, the goodness of our nature, and of the goodness of all it is. My firm belief is everything works together for good. Everything is based in good. We make choices that kind of go against that, but that's the truth. And it's not something that somebody else isn't doing. So I hang out with some people that do recovery work from time to time, particularly with regard to codependence. And one of the things I get a kick about is they talk about the codependent salute. Oh my goodness, nobody else is doing it, I'll do it. That's not the kind of service that I'm talking about. The service that comes from the very heart, from the inside. And so here we get to consciousness. Consciousness, a big word. Don't get too put off on the side because of consciousness. We'll make it really simple today. Consciousness is awareness exhibited at one level or another. So consciousness can be about a lot of things. I look at it this way. Consciousness, as it is designed to be at that highest level, is something that happens within. There's a fellow named, well, I don't know that it's a fellow, but it's a figure that we hear about in the first millennium of the Christian era, called Hermes, and I'm going to have to look at this so I can pronounce it right, Trismegistus. Anybody ever heard Hermes Trismegistus? Yeah. Okay, a couple people. I hadn't heard about it before. You're ahead of me. No, I'm catching up. Hermes Trismegistus was a combination of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. I've got to get it right. Look at it. That was a merging of two religious systems. And here's what came down to us from Hermes Trismegistus. As above, at higher level, so below, the level where we're at. As within, so without. It starts within. This awakeness, this consciousness starts within if we are to seek the best and the greatest with regard to our inner life making its way into the world. But consciousness or awakeness, awaken the world, kind of starts on one level. And I like to, Betty gave me a clue to this. Consciousness can be living on autopilot or flying on autopilot. And that's what I would call default consciousness. So that living on autopilot just takes everything that has come into our life and has impacted us, puts it into a pattern, and we keep living it over and over and over again. A good example of this is anything traumatic that may have happened in your life. I'll give you an example in mine. When I was young, my mother was very demanding of me. So much that I feared her. I feared her wrath. And so I adopted, not by choice, but it was just my instinct for survival to avoid her or avoid that wrath however I could. So I would either tell her a little lie so she wouldn't vent on me, or I would just avoid her altogether so I wouldn't have any chance of being put down or risking her displeasure. That became a pattern in my life. That was a way I had of living, a consciousness, if you will, a way I had of living, of being awake that allowed me to function. But that was a very low level. So I'm suggesting that each of you may have some of those patterns, probably adopted early in life, that you just do over and over again. The subconscious mind has accepted that as the pattern for things. This is the program that we're running on, and we go ahead and do it again and again and again without thinking. We're on autopilot. But we can move up a little bit of a step in that and talk about living by working at our awareness, living at working on how we are in the world. And I call this learned consciousness, or maybe intended consciousness. So we had teachers, we had parents, and we learned so many things from them. And many of them served us well, but some of us not so well. An example in my life was, this, and you may have heard this in your youth as well. Money doesn't grow on trees. You've heard that. It was there in my household. So that was a way that worked itself into my life that I was working up, because I was taught to be frugal then, was taught to be wise in my decisions about what I purchased. I was taught not to expect too much. So that learned bit of awareness about life is a learned consciousness. And there were teachers and others throughout my life that brought that to me. But that wasn't really mine. That was something that was laid on me, and I accepted it, and I worked with it. And I worked at being aware and being really conscious, being the best person I could be. I thought sometimes, as I'm sure you have, boy, look at Tom over there. He's got it all together. Or Charlotte back there. She really has learned it. She knows it. I'm going to be a better person. I'm determined. I intend to be a better person. I don't know how that's worked out for you, but it hasn't especially worked out well for me when I looked at somebody else and said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be better than I was. I'm going to better myself. Maybe some success, but modest at best. But then we get to what I feature as being the level of consciousness I really want to work at. This is when I'm fully aware, with deep conviction about what I'm doing, what I am to do, who I am. I'm living with full conviction, full awareness. And I call that realization consciousness. Living fully awake. And that must start within. Because if I go back to these truths that I hold, that we, by our very nature, are both human and divine, that goodness is the sum of all things, that love is the energy and the glue that holds everything together, then I'll know that it doesn't come from my intention, particularly. Intention is helpful. Doesn't come from what somebody taught me. Doesn't come from just what I'm reacting to. This is not the state of awakeness, wakingness that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a fully realized me, and that begins within. That begins on the inner. It deals with my identity. It deals with my motivations. It deals with my values, because they're not something that I create outside of myself in the world. They're something that stems from within me. I think that this is the intersection between the divinity that we are and the humanity that we are. The universal and the human. The universal and the unique. It's an inside job, not an outside job. It's something that we intuitively listen for and then allow to flow through us out into the world. And this is true when we think of service. What are we hearing? What are we hearing from that sense of spirit within, and with our unique soul that's saying, this is where to serve. This is how to serve. Can we be just a little bit like Mother Teresa? I haven't had a nonstop series of experiences in my life that show this, but there have been some, and they are unique and special to me. One was, 12, 13 years ago. I didn't know why I did it, but somehow within me, something was urging me to take the course of action that I did. It started as I was driving down the street or the road leading into town, in the Georgia town of, city, I guess it is, Athens, Georgia. And I came around a bend, and there was one of those school district or school setting, I forget the words exactly that they put on the sign, but the lights flash and they tell you how fast you're supposed to go in that school zone. There you go, school zone. Well, I immediately slowed down. And by the time I got to the school area, I was doing very well at being watchful for any kids that might be in the area or any danger that might be lurking. But the policeman that sat down by the school didn't think so. The policeman thought I was going a little too fast. Now, they didn't have a radar gun so that they could clock it and demonstrate, But they said that I was going too fast. And so they estimated that I had been about 12 miles over the speed limit when I should have been whatever the speed was. That offended my sense of justice because I knew it wasn't so. And I thought, no, am I just going to pay this $80 and be done with it? But then something inside of me said, no, not because I was offended about an injustice to me, but there was something that was just urging me to go counter to what any sane person would do, just pay the fine and get on with it. So I went to court, and I said that I didn't think I was going that thing, but the word of the police officer was trusted rather than mine, and I knew that that was likely to happen. I knew it wouldn't give me a long criminal record if I bucked it. But I was led to go ahead and take the sentence of the court. And so I did. I got shackled like everybody else that was there in that courtroom that was convicted and sent off to the county jail for 10 days in the county jail. Why am I led to be doing this? I hardly knew, but I knew I should be doing it. I knew somehow that there was some place there for me to serve. Some place for me perhaps to understand better my equality with all of us, including the criminals in that jail. And so I went to serve my 10 days in jail. I got out after 5, by the way. Let me out a little early. But in that jail setting, something in me changed about how to regard all of life, all of those that I interact with, even the ones that I might otherwise look down on. Suddenly I had a new appreciation. I befriended a young man that had a horrible family history, horrible family situation. And on top of that, he was gay, and I wasn't very highly looked on in Athens, Georgia. And somehow the spiritual beingness that was with him and the spiritual beingness that was with me, that was in me, connected. And I began to know that I, in refusing to just pay my fine and go my way like any sane person would do, but to follow that push of spirit, to know that I could provide a service. Do I know where my friend of 5 days is? No. But I do know that this was an example for me of how listening from within, living from within, allows me to make a true impact in terms of service in the world. So why consciousness? Why this state of awakeness, this elevated state of awakeness in the world before we get to service? I go back to our 5 principles. We talk about that quite a bit in Unity. Just 5 principles. We don't have a big, long theology. And I see how it tracks for me when I think about service after consciousness. Consciousness first. Being aware and truly awake in the world at the highest level possible. The start of those principles is that there's a force for good. That force for good is the very nature of the universe. In Unity, we say God is all. It goes on to say that that force is within me. It's there inside me. It's built in. It's latent within me. If it's not yet expressed in me, it's there. That's what we would call I am divine. I move on to cooperating with that force within to act, to serve. That's the level where we co-create with the divine. And then, and this is a really important one for me, communing with the divine. Get inspiration from within, that intuitive sense that this is the way to go, this is the way to serve. And of course, that's done often in the silence of your soul. And finally, you get to that where you express God, or you act genuinely and with integrity. And we get to the key spiritual truth that I would put for all of what I've said today is genuine service begins within. So how do I do that? Where I usually get. You know the ways to cultivate the inner life. Prayer, meditation, reading, listening above all else. Listening to that divine within, that intuitive sense of what you and your uniqueness are called to do in order to serve. Good to do this, and Charlotte mentioned this yesterday. We had a little Saturday soul boost, and check your motivation. When you're considering about serving, what's your motivation? Are you looking to make yourself feel good, or are you looking to say, well, nobody else is doing it and I'll do it? Are you looking just to get some kind of badge of honor? Check your motivation. Cultivate the inner life. Check your motivation. And then when I like in just about every situation in my life, use the power of pause. But don't rush into that service real quickly. Pause. Reflect. Feel that wisdom from within that wants to surge through you. And you'll be there. You'll be able to genuinely serve. It may take you to new heights. But look for that fully awake state where you're absolutely convinced of what is right. Maybe a little bit of work for you to work with that to get there. But when you do, you will genuinely serve. Remember Mary and Martha? Mary chose the better thing. From the outside, that wouldn't seem to have been the better thing. She should have been helping Martha get all ready. But she chose that which the core of her being urged her to act on. And that was, in her case, simply to sit and to listen. But that served not only Jesus, the master teacher, but all of us in the example it sets for us. Back to that key spiritual truth. Genuine service begins within. And so it is.
So we are going to prepare for meditation now as we listen to our meditation song, One Heart at a Time by Karen Drucker.
We can change the world. One heart I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. We can change the world, we can change the world, one heart at a time, one heart at a time. We can change the world, we can change the world, one heart at a time, one heart at a time. I see you, I see you, I know you, I know you, you're a part of me. And my heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you. We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change the world, one heart at a time. We can change, we can change, one heart, one heart.
Time for us to choose to go within in this brief time here together this morning. So all that is outside in your world, put it aside for a moment. As we still our voices and our rustling in our seats, or any sound that's there, let's go into that quiet place. Through the doorway, the portal of hearing. What do you hear now? Perhaps there's a steady hum of some sort. Perhaps nothing but some sense within yourself. Focus on that. Focus on that little bit of hearing that's still there when you decide to be quiet. What do you hear? So now that your ears are wide open, ready to hear, bring your willingness to listen and to follow. I'd like to ask just 2 questions. And we'll spend quite some time in silence listening. First question is, who am I? Who am I? What's my nature? What's my uniqueness? What's special about me, not in the eyes of anybody else, but just in my sense of knowing? Spend some time in the quiet to consider the question, who am I? You've probably unearthed some gifts that you may have long forgotten. Some aspect of you that you just hadn't thought about for a long time. Take that to yourself. Hold it close. And ask yourself another question. How am I to serve? Know that service enhances you, enhances all that you touch. But the greatest impact will be there when you know how you are to serve. Some of you may already know that. And this just reinforces that. But some of you are still listening. Remember, we're listening for that still, small voice that we hear in the quiet that guides us and tells us how we are to serve. So ask yourself a question and spend the time in silence listening. How am I to serve? You may have heard some small voice that gave you an inkling of how you are to serve. Or you may have heard a loud, booming voice that says, this is it. This is where you are. Whatever you heard, give it your attention. Because this is yours to do in the world. When you do that, you will change, and the world will change. We are so grateful for the opportunity to serve because it blesses us equally with those that we may serve. So bring back to this time, in this place, bring back to your awareness here today what you've heard. Nurture it and act on it as led by Spirit. As you bring your awareness back, open your eyes or wiggle your fingers or your toes, have a sense of being back, but you've come back changed. Something in you knows a bit more. Something has heard something that you've not heard in quite this way before. And so it is.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Reverend Neal. Now it is time to share our gifts and offerings. Unity of Payson greatly appreciates your gifts in support of this ministry. These gifts also go out to the larger community. As you listen to the offering song, you'll have time to make a contribution. Information for giving is also on the slides. We greatly appreciate your gifts. Let's bring our attention to our gift at this time and call to mind our heart's desires. Together we affirm, freely we give, and freely we receive. And so it is. The gathering of spirits. Carrie Newcomer.
Let it go, my love, my truest. Let it sail on silver wings. Our life's a twinkling, that's for certain. But it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends. And we'll take up where we left off. We all meet again. I can't explain it. I couldn't if I tried. How the only things we carry are the things we hold inside, like a day in the open, like the love we won't forget, like the laughter that we started and it hasn't died down yet. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest. Let it sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. Oh yeah, now didn't we? And don't we make it shine? Aren't we standing in the center of something rare and fine? Some glow like embers, like a light through colored glass. Some give it all in one great flame, throwing kisses as they pass. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest. Let it sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. East of Eden, but there's heaven in our midst, and we're never really all that far from those we love and miss. Wade out in the water, there's a glory all around, and the wise say there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest. Let it sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again.
And it's time for the dedication of our offering. We're grateful for these gifts. We're grateful for the givers. We bless the gifts, we bless the givers. And let's say together, divine love flowing through us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. We are abundantly prosperous and we give thanks. So it is. Amen. So we're going to continue with our theme of service for July and developing a spirit service consciousness. I invite you to think about that, how you can do that this week, and to reflect, as Reverend Neal said, am I doing what I want to do from my spirit? Is that my motivation? Next Sunday's speaker, Reverend Neal Worthington, Unto the Least of These is the title. And I will share a few announcements. Morning cafe, or morning coffee as some call it, is on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays now at 9 a.m. Arizona time. And please join us for reflection, a spiritual reflection time. It's just 30 minutes. And sometimes we go over by 6 or 7, but usually just 30 minutes. Great way to start the day. Today we're having a potluck after the service, so I'm going to move along because I'm guessing there's some good smells in the room. A Course in Miracles will be canceled for the holiday this week on July 4th, and we'll meet again on the 3rd Tuesday. Summer concerts at Green Valley Park. The next one's July 8th. The band is Rimrock, and Kindness Works for Veterans table will be hosted, and Unity of Payson will be there to host as well. Donations of non-perishable food for the Payson Food Bank are requested for each concert. And we have a PS from Neal.
I'm led not to say anymore. So let's gather here in person, and if you're with us online, sing along with us as we sing the peace song. Wait. Tom reminds me, it's birthday Sunday. Who do we have here in the room? June. Terry. We're going to sing happy birthday to them. We're going to just do this. And if there's anybody online, your birthday is in July, speak up.
Hey, Terry, are you in the middle of July 19th? Yes.
Okay, so here we go. The birthday song is a little bit of a different version. Are you ready? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Snow like you, uniquely created. I love knowing you. I bless you with life and abundance galore. God bless you, my loved ones, and have many more. And now the peace song. Let me break it. Ready?
Can you turn the camera so we can see all of you?
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be. With God as creator, family are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step This is my joyous thought. I take each moment, I live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
And the prayer for protection, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you so very much for being with us today. Potluck is ready for us here in the room. If you can put the gallery on, and just say hello to anybody who's still here in
Have
the
a
gallery.
good peace and happy 4th of July.
Frosty, happy Sunday to you. I see being there for a minute today. Joanne is here, here and there. I'm not sure where she is. She's both here and there. Anyway, bless you. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you again soon. There you go.